everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the SHRPA Navigator or SHRPA Leadership Interview Series. It's an interview series where we look at trends, gaps, and imperatives that have emerged out of the global SHRPA report and talk with talent and tech leaders across APAC to find impactful solutions and strategies that you can build and implement in 2025. Today, joining us, we have Ruhie Pande, Group CHRO at Sterlite Power. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Ruhie.
Thank you, Dhruv. Very, very happy to be here and look forward to our discussion.
Great. So first, as I was talking with Ruhi, today, what are the conversation? The main point of our conversation is going to be on how can companies really look at investing and scaling sustainable HR technology infrastructure. And what we will do is we will look at some of the challenges that emerge out of the Sherpa report and look at how those challenges can be converted into opportunities. With that, my first question to you, Rui, is one of the trends that we found in the Sherpa report was due to the lack of tech maturity, laggards who we have defined in the report as companies who are still at a very basic HR automation level, they are significantly behind in their performance when it comes to talent management and talent analytics. Why do you think tech maturity is still a challenge for companies, maybe in India? And how are you ensuring that HR tech maturity levels keep up with external changes that are happening in the marketplace?
No, I think if you ask me, technology in the human resources space, I have seen really transforming over the last 10 odd years. And the speed of the technology change is only going higher and higher with each passing year, with newer
Definitely.
options coming for HR leaders to transform the way they look at talent. And I fundamentally believe that in any large organization, which employs anything above 1,000 people, spread across the country or in a dispersed location, which is very similar to the kind of business we are in, technology has to play a crucial part. And I'll tell you why. Uh, there are two, three parts which technology can play. And now with the technological advancements, I think gone are the days when it was only automation. The first
Yeah.
fundamental thing for sure is for a company to be automated. And I do agree with you, Dhruv. I find it surprising that a lot of organizations till date do their basic processes like offers, etc., on Excel or use Excel based calculator, and a lot of that work is manual. And I feel that automation, which is to ensure that across the entire HR value chain, which is from approaching a candidate to hiring to onboarding to joining, this entire life cycle till the time the employee exits, I definitely feel it is a absolute must that this entire cycle is automated. uh,
Definitely.
I think the human resources professionals are much better off in doing what technology can't do, which is the power of the human interaction. They should spend disproportionate amount of time talking to employees, comforting them, traveling them, meeting them in remote locations, and looking at how do they create a unique culture, having meaningful coaching and counseling conversations. So I think that's something which tech can't replace, and the HR people should be investing their time in doing that. Secondly,
Right.
manual errors are very common, and
Right.
thereby to totally remove them, a lot of this entire process should be automated, right? uh,
Right.
why some companies kind of don't do it earlier than later, I would say that it is a cost for sure. There
Definitely.
is some amount of change management which comes with it, because it does take some taking to adopt to your smartphone or to laptops or to a system, rather than saying I'll do everything on email and give approvals. So
Agreed. Yeah.
yeah, the moment you automate, there is some amount of change management, there is an outright investment cost. But if you are able to, and these pretty much are the broadest ones. And thirdly, perhaps some people are unable to forecast the impact which automation and using tools like generative AI can have on their people function. So the lack of foresight. So I think these three areas are the ones which actually prevent people from going into fundamental HR tech and transforming their HR journey.
Great. Thank you for looking at it, from a holistic standpoint. And I do agree some of these trends, like cost optimization, if you for our listeners, if they get into the report, I think that's one of the discrepancies that also emerges from an external from what external tech providers are looking at versus what HR leaders truly demand today. So that's a great point, Ruhi. But looking at maybe 2025, how do you think some of these barriers and challenges that you raised, how do you think HR leaders can really overcome them to ensure technology is an enabler and not the end all to all of HR?
I think the first thing is to create a very clear blueprint. Having done your fundamental level automation, which in my opinion is a bare minimum today, really seeing what parts of your entire employee experience needs the next level of technology, creating a very clear blueprint, not just for 1 year, because implementing HR technology could be a 1 to 2 years journey. What do you want to do in year one? What do you want to do in year two? And then, most importantly, going to leaders, business leaders, and getting their buy-in, because they will also need to invest time and effort into
Yeah,
enabling this entire change. They will also
yeah,
need to invest monies in it. So, creating a business case, showcasing to them that the cost of not doing it is actually going to be higher than the change management which they get into. So, simple examples
exactly.
and simple things, right? We recently launched a AI tool to measure engagement. The traditional way of measuring engagement is once a year you do an employee engagement survey, then those results are published, and then lots of actions follow that. But I think gone are the days. You have to ensure that engagement study is a daily activity. Every single day of the week, you need to know what is the mood and the happiness level of your employees. And I'll tell you my own example. When I was pitching it to my current organization, I got a lot of pushback from leaders saying we know our people. And I told them that in 1 day, can you reach out to 1,000 people? And your
Yeah,
company is only growing 2,000 people, 3,000 people. Some 1 day
yeah.
it's 5,000 people, right? It's not possible. It's not humanly possible. Thereby, what is the tool to tell you how engaged your people are? Are they disengaged? What are the levers which are working for people? What is not working for people? And created it like a business case and pitched it to them, influenced them, and then we launched it. And I'm saying the results are mind boggling. On a daily basis, the leaders get a dashboard saying how happy your employees are. On a daily basis, the HR teams get a list of these disengaged employees. So they can reach out to them and ensure that whatever was the challenge gets easily solved. The next step in a tool like this, which I want to do, is to show a correlation between the engagement, disengagement, and attrition. I think
Yeah.
in the next 7 to 8 months, if we are able to establish that this tool leads to even a 5% drop in your overall attrition, the business case is fulfilled. So I think, like I was saying, the blueprint, the business case, and last but not the least, constant feedback loops to see if any updates are required, because we can't be slaves to technology either. Whatever you were
Understood.
endeavoring to do, is it really being met? Or have you made people's lives cumbersome? Have you made the process bureaucratic? So I think constantly keeping in touch and ensuring that you course correct from time to time is the third step, in my opinion. Last but not the least, to come back and showcase to your leaders in the organization that by usage of this technology, you were able to solve a problem. That will create this perpetual loop where you can constantly keep doing this again and again. Blueprint is there, create another technology, take the buy-in, launch it, create a feedback loop, and then again go back and show the business results. I think that's how the leaders should go around implementing technology.
Thank you for that again, Ruhi. And I love the Love the step by step focus that you've really taken in terms of not just, implementing a technology, but looking at how it creates that business change and how it really aligns with what the business objectives are looking at. So staying on this point for a bit, we've spoken about change management and that being a critical component. So what emerges out of our report also is that there is a gap in how well HR is aligning, its technology results with a lot of what the business is looking at. So if you had to spend maybe a few seconds on looking at change management, what do you think? How should change management really become an important priority for 2025?
See, it's very critical. I'll give you another small example from what I've been trying to implement. So, using HR technology, we have created a communication platform, but that communication platform will come alive when people log on to it.
Yeah,
You can keep posting, but if there is hardly any traction, I mean, Instagram, Facebook, all these are great opportunities of social media and people interacting because people log on to it. Now, how do you ensure that you are truly creating like a marketplace where everyone's posting, people sitting out of the farthest corners of the country in Kishtawar, our businesses in Brazil or any part of the globe are able to see updates, hear from leaders, we're able to do town halls on that platform, will all depend on what is the usage. So one of the critical steps in change management is to identify what you are trying to influence.
great.
So
Yeah,
we clearly articulated the fact that we want more and more people to engage with this tool. The more people engage, the more people get used to it. And then we obviously created a plan of action. In order for people to engage, it has to be an app. It has to be an app, and you need to ensure people install it. You need to ensure that everything you are updating people on goes onto that platform, because if you have multiple sources of communication, the attention span will get totally broken down. So we said, okay,
great.
we want to use that platform to engage with our employees. The third step in that was to involve your leaders. That's a very important. And then the leaders got involved. We ensured that they constantly posted. We ensured that they continuously did town halls, Q&A sessions to make that entire platform very vibrant. And last but not the least, in a change management plan, communication with your employees is very important. So small groups of people, talking to them, bringing this discussion in our weekly meetings of our managers, telling our managers to introduce this tool. I think if we are able to follow this model where your leaders are involved, where it's step by step, and you are able to constantly communicate with your employees, that for me will be a good change management plan.
Right, right, right. And again, it's great to hear all of those processes that have already been put in place because from what we found, there's a lot of readiness within HR, but when it comes to execution, that's where the lag is happening. So I guess the entire process of bringing the entire company together and executing is where technology can really bring that impact. So thank you for that. My next question, Ruhi, is we looked at some areas like hiring and really looking at leadership development. But it was interesting to see that investments in these specific areas and technology solutions might actually either stagnate or drop in the coming year in 2025. Uh, do you see similar trends in the market that you're operating today? And if you think there is an apprehension within HR leaders in investing in technologies around hiring, why do you think that is?
Uh, I I do agree with the latter part of your statement. I think a lot of people are investing in technology around hiring. Uh, Fundamentally, due to two, three reasons. One is the sheer management of volumes. I mean,
Yeah,
for a company like ours, where you're like hiring about 1,000 people every year, just the management of the entire cycle, if it is manual, is absolutely cumbersome and totally, filled with errors in case it's not automated. Now, there are aspects of hiring which are hard coded, but there are
Yeah.
aspects of hiring which are soft coded also. So, for example,
Agree.
the entire hiring process from the time you reach out to social media, you source CVs, and you bring them on to you could be something which could be technology led. The actual process of the candidate experience, the actual process of the interviewing, some organizations are able to bring it in, and organizations are unable to. So I think because the process is so wide, really bringing
Yeah.
the entire thing under the gamut of technology becomes a little bit of a challenge. Leadership development, I personally feel a lot of organizations have yet not explored the power of technology, uh, primarily because it's a lot of touch and feel. So many
Definitely. Yeah.
organizations believe that fundamentally a one-to-one coaching or a classroom session or going to a university for a management development program perhaps contributes much more to leadership development. One of our internal processes, which is called our high potential identification, is by the way fully automated, and that makes the process very easy to run. So every year, our managers are able to study their entire talent on the basis of a few questions that tool throws up, your top L, which is
Yeah.
the classic nine boxer. And you can go around discussing it, you can go around capturing all the data in one place. So, from a leadership development standpoint, my experience, it has really worked. I think a lot of organizations who have the ability and the capacity to invest in it will see the returns, but still a lot of people feel that it's a lot of touch and feel rather than a technology led solution.
Right, right, right. And it's interesting you talk about leadership in that standpoint because while it might be touch and feel and it might be still slightly non-tech driven, it's also a challenge. What we've seen is that around 95% of HR leaders in India, especially, they're saying building the right leadership for 2025 and beyond is the top talent management challenge, is the top talent challenge today. So maybe there is a middle way in investing in technology and bridging that gap, as you say.
I totally think that is absolutely true. A lot of your learning is actually happening on your phones these days. A lot of your learning. People are reading news on the go. People are studying, various financial models on your phone. There are multiple applications which help you uh, learn something new on a day-to-day basis. And if all that can be done, why can't a simple consolidated leadership development be created as a module and launched on people's phones? I absolutely think it's possible. It needs creative thinking. It needs a mindset steering, but also through my very strong belief is there's just so much in HR to do that perhaps
Yeah.
people haven't reached the leadership development.
Understand.
But I do see over
Understand.
the next few years that's the next logical step.
Right, right. I think my next question, and this is a question where I think a lot of our listeners are also, going to be enthused, and it's around, Gen AI, and the entire AI layer of tech architecture that a lot of companies are investing in. Uh, how do you see? Because in our report we found while there is interest in AI, but there is still a lot of HR leaders, for example, are not satisfied with their ability to raise productivity through AI. So how do you see, the next maybe 12 months shaping up for you in terms of, your AI strategy, your AI implementation roadmap, any insights that you would want to offer us on that?
So, I told you recently this entire transition we went for our overall strategy around employee engagement, right? Where we've totally transitioned to a AI based tool. I also believe that a lot of Gen Zs and millennials who are coming into the workforce today are extremely comfortable talking to a bot,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the communication is happening with the artificial intelligence based system, where the system is throwing questions to you basis your tenure, and the system changes the questions as you answer. So that is the level of intelligence which that entire platform is able to showcase to us. And I personally fundamentally believe that a lot of our, and it's a WhatsApp based tool,
Yeah.
So you will get a chat on your WhatsApp. And one of my going in conditions with this tool was that it has to be based on WhatsApp, because I don't want it to be based on any other platform. And I think people are, I was very shocked to see that in the first 3 months, the participation rate itself was at about 75% and above. Very clearly indicating that a lot of people are totally okay to use tools and are
Yeah.
comfortable with this, right? Now, going ahead, as I told you, I want to build in uh, correlation between attrition and what the data of this engagement tool is. The other place where I want to start using artificial intelligence is in the space of learning and development. Things around training needs identification. We used to do it in a very different fashion, but can we use AI to try and understand what is the training needs analysis? What are the career aspirations of people? Like in today's world, uh, you have conversations with people during their
Mm.
appraisal cycles to understand, or you have a career conversation. Some part of it gets recorded, some part of it is lost. What if we had a AI tool which could be implemented, and that AI tool then is able to capture career aspirations, career records, and also forecast that here are the few things which this person can do, and basis that these are some of the developmental needs your organization has. And the last but not the least piece where I want to use it is in um, productivity enhancement. So,
Definitely.
yeah, like in your manufacturing, we have manufacturing setups. In your manufacturing plants, we have project sites. In your project sites, how is it that you can look at the data of performance of those individuals, make an AI tool sit on it to predict what are some of the learning and development gaps, and those can then be pushed to these people using an application which is on their phone. So the AI
Yeah.
predicts that this person in terms of his or her performance is here, and using maybe implementing these 3 4 interventions will take him from point X to point B. The greatest thing about AI is that you don't need to spend hours on the Microsoft Excel. It throws up data to you which is very meaningful in a story format.
Yeah.
So organization productivity, and if we are able to demonstrate over the next one year that these are the 3 things which we did and here is the result, I think it'll be a case study to talk about.
Great, great. And what I hear from you, I think going back to your first point, the comfortability that employees or maybe, the multi-generational workforce already has with AI, I think that is also going to drive HR leaders to maybe go towards AI, because if there is a demand or there is a comfortability of a certain technology, then it also makes sense to sort of go towards it and then implement it within the company. So I hear a lot of points from you, and I think even for my listeners, what I gather is HR really has to be creative when it comes to AI implementation. Like you're trying to you build use cases and really try to test it out across different areas. So thank you for that. I think my
Welcome.
last question to you, and this is around one key misalignment that we found in so what we did in the report is we spoke to HR leaders, but we also spoke with HR tech providers and HR partners to get an inside out and an outside in perspective. So what we found that while of course we spoke about how costs are a major factor, major reason that is influencing HR leaders' investment decisions. What was missing was their need of good analytics and their need of a demand of good data and good analytics. Uh, how do you see this need becoming more uh, prescient as we move ahead, maybe in the next 12 to 18 months?
I think the need for good predictive analytics is paramount in the human resources field. One of the biggest investments which any business makes is in talent acquisition and getting people on board. We've recently, about a few years back, launched a green energy, a renewable energy platform, and we're actively hiring to set it across. Now, this entire platform, which will, it'll grow to be like thousands of crores, is totally dependent on the kind of the quality of people who come on board and then create that unique culture. If there was a platform which could help us analyze the first 100 hires to say that here is what is working, here are the traits you hired for, and of course that needs to be an end-to-end platform. Here is what you
Definitely.
were, where you're hiring right. Here are the kind of people who you hired who were not great cultural fits. And see, every time a person joins, doesn't perform, and leaves, it costs the company in dollars, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Fortunately, it is soft and it is not quantifiable. But if there's a way we can pick up these threads, use generative AI to help us predict what works in a particular organization, what kind of people should we hire. And if AI could tell us that, I think it's a fantastic use case. And that analytics can then be used by hiring managers, by the HR team to hire right and get the right talent on board, right? That's number one. Number two, the greatest use of analytics would be in predicting attrition. Again,
Yeah.
attrition is a loss. You get people, they work with you for a couple of years, their productivity shoots through the roof, and then due to reasons which all employees are free to go, they leave. If there is a tool which can help us predict that in the next 6 months, here's the likelihood of this person to leave, red, green,
Yeah.
amber, or in some format, and then the HR team proactively connects with these people and ensure that they don't leave. And is either it's a question of compensation, it's a question of growth, it's a question of boss. We're able to solve it, and I think these two areas, predictive analytics is absolutely required.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that, Rohi. And that actually brings me to the end of the conversation. But, given the theme of, really scaling HR tech architectures with purpose for maybe the next 12 to 18 months, if you think there is any point that I might not have covered with my questions, but you think our listeners really need to be sort of aware of, slight or focus on, um, we'll be happy to hear from you.
I think HR tech and automation, while we spoke about a lot of areas where we should use it, I think there's one fundamental area where we could also use it is in compliance. With compliances becoming complicated, with companies being across borders and multiple companies, I think fundamentally understanding the laws of the land, creating tools which are automated, where technology can help you manage compliance, I think that's another absolutely untested area which also HR professionals should look at.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that, Rui. Thank you for taking the time out and joining us today.
Super nice talking to you, Dhruv. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.